there's a spotlight. You better run before they come over to get you. Welcome to the American Fort podcast. This is an exciting episode because we have a dear old friend with us. We're going to be interviewing him a little bit later, Danny. So I'm Phil. Danny's here with us. Say hello, Danny.
Hi.
And Jeff.
Yeah, you guys know.
And
it's me.
Jeff and Danny are brothers.
Well,
Pretty
it's
much.
a little complicated.
Once removed.
Yeah, we're stepbrothers once removed.
Is that the official wording?
It could have
doubt
been
it.
twice. I don't know.
We could have been removed twice, yeah.
Special brothers once removed.
Yeah, it's complicated.
All right.
Have you seen Days of Our Lives?
I'm bored about it.
Okay.
So for local news, I had something pretty exciting. Remember last week when we were talking about the graveyard in American Fork that you don't know is a graveyard?
Yeah.
So my grandmother, shout out grandma,
is buried in there.
Is a listener.
Oh,
and she's
not dead.
She calls me up and she says, your great grandfather is buried there or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, you know there's a park by Forbes Elementary, like down the street a little ways on 100 East.
Right, yeah.
And it's just grass. And you're like, oh, this is a lame park. Apparently it's actually a graveyard. There's like 85 people buried there.
Wasn't there like a cornerstone in that?
Yeah. And that represents, I guess, everyone buried there because they don't know like exactly who's buried there. But I guess we have some documents that say so-and-so was buried here. Mm-hmm. So the news, I guess, the American Fork News is that I'm actually like the official mayor of New York because I'm like a direct descendant of like the founder or something like that.
Why would you?
So you're literally related to the founder of American Fork.
Pretty much. That's as I understand it.
Okay.
My wife's like looking at me like, no way. No, but legit, my great, so many great grandpa.
Great infinite.
Is buried there.
Great repeating.
Yeah. So good news, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, bud.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna pause right now, and I'm gonna rate your intro as a B- because you forgot to. Jake's not here again.
Oh, that's right.
Because Santa Claus had to go to New York.
We'll do that at the end.
We're gonna do what?
The housekeeping.
Oh,
Is that what you're
he
saying?
was thinking about it. That's
Yeah.
okay. A+.
There you go.
Right.
I wasn't, but
Okay.
once you said that, I was
Okay.
like,
Well, D+.
D-. State news. An interesting little blip popped up. 1 in 6 of all COVID deaths in Utah occurred in the last 2 months.
1 in 6. That's roughly 1/6.
Yeah, now that I'm reading that, it's like, so what? 1/6, that's like a year. That's like a year's worth. I guess it's a little higher than average, right?
Well, 1/6 would be 2 eggs out of a carton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2 months.
I know for sure if I only ate 2 eggs in 2 months, those eggs would be going bad. Does that help with the story at all?
No.
It doesn't?
I think they're trying to say that lots of people are dying right now
Oh, okay.
in Utah. Mm-hmm. We don't know.
Well, I don't know anyone that
Yeah.
died of it lately.
So
Do
it's
you?
not happening.
Do you know anyone?
I literally can say that I do not know or have even acquainted with anybody that's died from COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We know, so Devin's uncle died from COVID right after he had heart surgery.
Yep. That's
Oh.
right. And I feel for him. I don't know Devin's uncle, though.
And I do know a couple people that were like in the hospital for
Yeah.
like 6 months,
Well, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
but that's about it.
Yep.
So I don't know.
We'll know it's really bad when they have to reopen that graveyard and be like, guys, we need more real estate. This is more 6-foot real estate.
We know there's ancient bodies in here, but bring that back over.
Yeah. We need to. Anyway, that was a bad joke.
We shouldn't joke about all those Utahns dying.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, thanks for bringing it down, Phil.
You're welcome.
I feel really depressed now.
Alec on national news.
Oh my gosh. I already know what you're going to bring up.
On national news, Alec Baldwin said he didn't pull the trigger. Apparently, something. Did you look into
caught
this?
up with this,
Yeah,
Danny?
I'm aware of that. He was on a movie set and shot someone. That's about all I know.
Shot 2 people, didn't he?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
That would be.
Because then, how do you not know you pulled the trigger if you shot twice?
Yeah.
How many people
Twice in the head.
Alec Baldwin shoot?
Today.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. I have a theory about this, and it goes like this. Alec Baldwin accidentally shot somebody. I don't know how he couldn't have done it at all, but I think there's this tactic nowadays where if someone accuses you of something, it can be shooting somebody, it can be whatever. People take an exact opposite and they just say, I did exactly opposite of what you're accusing me of. And then somehow it turns into like, well, he said, she said kind of trial. And then they have a better idea of like getting away with whatever they did. So in Alec Baldwin's case, they're like, you pulled the trigger and killed this person. And all he has to do is come out officially and say, I never pulled the trigger. It's like, what? Well, then how did this person die from the gun that was in your hand?
Well, if he's lucky, he can get O.J. Simpson's attorney.
Oh, yeah?
And he'll probably get off.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
He would say, like, if it does not fire, then we must aspire. Is that a good one?
He'll be like holding the gun in the courtroom. See, it doesn't even fit. His hand.
If it does not fit, you gots to acquit.
That's right.
I think that's what he said.
Literally, verbatim.
I'm his lawyer. Reincarnate.
Yeah, according to NPR, Alec Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger in the fatal shooting on the Rust set. But didn't like 30 people watch him pick up a gun and say, I'm going to kill you, and then shoot him? I thought he shot multiple people. But
no, that would be
maybe it was multiple times.
Maybe.
Bang, bang. I don't know.
Bang, bang. Yeah.
Yeah, and guns do go off. Like, that's why they tell you when you pick up a gun, you never point it at anyone, ever, because things happen.
I think that, to be fair, I think that they were trialing the new Tesla self-shooting guns, and he had one.
Where it's like it's supposed to like read your thoughts and decide if you shoot or not.
It knows better than mankind and can make decisions on who should live and die. I think that's what Elon Musk has been working on.
But then Elon Musk is going to be like, "Oh, it wasn't the software's fault.
It was the hardware's fault.
It was user error."
What does he blame it on? User error?
I didn't actually read into this. I just saw the headline. So,
anyways, that's what I think.
That's funny.
I think.
Danny's going to state whether it's funny or not. Yeah. Every statement, I need you to go, yes, that is funny.
That's funny.
It is affirmative.
I'm Dan Bosko, and I approve that joke.
Ding dong, perfect.
Other national news: the Supreme Court right now, I guess, has actually taken up the Roe v. Wade issue, which essentially Mississippi passed a law that said. Before I think, or the law of the land is 24 weeks. You can't have an abortion, and Mississippi says it's 15 in their state. So there's a lawsuit, of course, to flesh that out. Yeah. And I actually listened to the Supreme Court arguments yesterday.
Pretty interesting.
Was pretty interesting, especially because, like, my takeaway was the abortion issue is and always has been like, well, we don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, well, it's 22 or 24 weeks or 22 weeks or whatever, because that's the time of viability, like when a baby can live on its own. Right. And so before that, it's okay. But some of the justices were asking, like, well, okay, well, what about right before that? Like, this line is just arbitrary, right? Right. And the state was like, or the feds, I guess, were like, well, yeah, it is arbitrary, but blah, blah, blah. This is what we've been doing for 50 years. It was interesting because it was like, I don't know where I sit on it, because it's like, where is the line? What do you say? What do you do? Yeah.
When do you decide? When does one human being decide that there is life in something or not? Right. That's what's such a weird concept. Yeah. Like, if you're a God-fearing person, then like when it's before that. And if you're not, then it's a different answer. And it's like, anyway, it is an interesting topic because it's very confusing. And I don't know where I sit exactly on it either.
What about you, Danny Bosko? Welcome, and tell us about your opinions on abortion.
Let's start out on a real light subject.
Yeah, it's super light. So I just want to touch base on that. I mean, technically, you can get really deep into this because, like, a plant is living, but yet we kill it to eat it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the cell is technically living in the abortion. So really, even at the first week, and, that's my opinion, you shouldn't even do it because... I mean, you can't really draw the line, and who are we to say that,
So there just shouldn't be any abortion.
I just don't think there should be,
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you go into okay, if a cell is living, then if sorry everyone, but if someone were to jack off into a shower drain, is it now a mass genocide or what happened? You know what I mean?
Technically, yes.
Stop doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But, don't do that either.
Well, my wife brought up this idea of a scab. A scab is multiplying cells and creating something and doing what it's supposed to do. So would it be illegal to pick a scab?
Yeah.
Or not? I mean, I know that sounds really silly, but it is it helps clarify for me, what are we really talking about here?
So here's a question that one of the Supreme Court justices, Clarence Thomas, was asking, and I want to turn this question on to you guys. Mm-hmm. So they had a Supreme Court case where somebody was pregnant. They were after the viability date, and they used a bunch of cocaine and totally effed up the kid. It had a really hard time. And so I think the kid was suing, and the mother was saying, well, that was my body. I can do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And I think, I actually don't know the outcome of that case, but his question to the state was, let's say that it's before that viability time. So it's during the time that we allow abortion. Should somebody be able to use cocaine or drink or whatever if they're pregnant? And if not, or if so, doesn't that correlate exactly to abortion? Because isn't the argument about the control over a woman's body, whether or not she has a say over what happens to her?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I always throw in some really, really ridiculous analogies. So here goes one of them. Let's say you had a gun and you pointed the gun at your own hand, but then on the other side of your hand is somebody.
Yeah.
Could you shoot your own hand? Pointed it at somebody and then kill the other person, be well, I shot my own hand. It's my body.
Yeah.
I did what I wanted. I can do what I want with my body.
Right.
No, you shot a 9mm round through your hand and then it killed the other guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's murder, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a ridiculous analogy. That was the end of it.
I'm with you, I think.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous analogy, but I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Man.
I know.
I mean, it really does.
Because the planet is ridiculous.
My mind is blown, really.
Sorry about
that. But yeah, it was interesting, I thought, because I did think there were arguments on both sides, but it's neither argument was good. You know what I mean? It both had all these, and the justices all pointed that out on both sides. They were well, what about this? And what about this? And it made you think well, why do we have the law in the first place? But we have it, and we don't really have a good enough reason to get rid of it. Because it's that was just my impression. Just from them going back and forth. It's hard to say, well, who has the upper hand? Is it the woman's right and her body, or is it the fetus or the scab, as Jeff put it? Or
okay, I didn't say it exactly like that, but I get your point. Yeah,
but it was interesting. So it'll be interesting. A lot of people are thinking that they're actually going to overturn it. Roe v. Wade, just say it doesn't apply. I didn't get that impression from it because again, it was well, if we're going to overturn it, then why? And the one justice I thought had a pretty good point. She said, other than a religious reason, what can we say here? And the guy for the state, he made a pretty good point. He's well, we know now because of ultrasounds and stuff that if you stick a needle in and poke that baby's foot before this 24 whatever, it actually recoils, and so we think they feel pain and blah blah blah. And she says, and the Supreme Court justice says, yeah, but when people are dead and you poke their foot, they move.
That's true.
All this stuff. It just goes back and forth. How do you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Deep topic. Didn't mean to plunge you right into
the abyss.
Yeah. But welcome to American Fork. That's how we roll around here.
Well, one thing that I took away from the highlights that I saw the football highlight reel, and you actually watched the game, basically, was that I was glad to hear that there was some very sane discussions going on about it. I think that there was good points brought up from both sides, and I think it was... I was glad that it wasn't just... it didn't seem to be just politically motivated. Like a lot of the rhetoric and a lot of the information that we've been hearing a lot lately. Yeah. You're like, okay, that's left, that's right. Didn't matter who it was. They were talking about pretty sane discussions about it. Like, well, what is this viability thing? Maybe we should eliminate that term because that line changes all the time. Years ago, you'd have to be this many weeks to survive, and now it's pushing 20 weeks now. Yeah. And so that term of viability changes all the time. So why are we even basing it off of that?
Yeah, well, maybe it should just be like the very youngest baby that was born, and survived. Like that's the date. I don't know what that is.
Which is just over 20 weeks.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's into the 21st week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is crazy. And I think it was twins, actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know for sure because, it's the American Fork podcast.
Yeah. One interesting argument that didn't stick well with me was this idea that if you take away... I get this, but I kind of don't. They said if you take away a woman's or her ability to obtain an abortion, you're forcing her to have a baby. Was the exact language that they were using.
Man, there's a few steps between that and having a baby.
And that's what I thought. I thought like, well, no, nobody's forcing that, but
these guys are going crazy in this room.
We've got two women sitting right here, and we're all talking about abortion.
Microphones.
Yeah. Yep. So we set it up that way on purpose. But
currently getting the look.
Yeah. I'm not sure which look that was, though.
But
should I run?
But the argument is essentially, and I get this because it's like a woman is pregnant, she wants an abortion for whatever reason, and the government is telling her, no, you can't do that. Like,
and I have a problem with that.
Or at least telling the medical system, you can't provide this to women.
And then you have to go see the doctor from The Simpsons, Dr. Nick Riviera.
Nick Riviera.
Hi, everybody. You ever watch 30 Rock? It's got a doctor in it, kind of like that. And, and Alec Baldwin's in there, so he always goes and sees this doctor. And
how many people did he shoot on that set?
Yeah, exactly.
I was just thinking that, too.
But he'll go into that doctor and be like, oh, what was it? Was it my heart? And he's like, I don't think so, but nobody really knows where the heart is. Like he always said, it's just like obviously not a good doctor. But,
well, he might have been speaking like metaphorically, like your heart isn't in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny, but anyway, on to better times. Danny Bosko is here with us.
Don't you have like a messed up animal story or something?
No, that's it. We're going right into Danny.
I am the messed up animal story.
Yeah. So Danny is a dear old friend. Danny and Jeff were brothers. Brothers.
We're brothers for sure, but not legally.
They're brothers, but they're not physically related at all. Is that correct?
True.
Yeah.
Technically, we
and it has nothing to do with abortion.
No.
Yeah. That's how we're brothers.
Yeah, but
we were Siamese twins, conjoined at the left knee.
Yeah, but growing up, I always thought you guys were brothers. Like you guys kind of had the same nose.
No, see, now you're lying.
I thought so.
Nope.
And so when I found that out, I was like blown away that you guys weren't. But essentially, the situation was Danny's mom was Jeff's dad's wife during the time that
I'm already lost.
Is that? So you were
no, we were stepbrothers,
right?
But our parents were both married on their second marriage.
Yes.
Yes.
So I actually we didn't have any shared half siblings either. So it was stepbrothers and sisters, and that was it.
Yep.
So the documentary Step Brothers was filmed after us, basically.
Yeah.
Except we weren't 40.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. And I remember, like, my earliest memory of both of you guys was, like, before I moved down to that other house and lived up on 700 North. Like, I'd come down there.
In that duplex, right?
Yeah.
By Art Dye.
And I'd come down there and, like, ride bikes with you guys. You guys would have ramps set up and things like that. Rollerblades, skateboards, stuff like that.
Danny and I always had a rule of thumb in life, and that was build a ramp.
Yeah. Build a ramp
We
and
still
jump
do it to
off
this
it.
day sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when things are hard at work, I just go outside and
just build a ramp.
build a
Build
solid
another
ramp.
one.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking to build one for my brother because he skateboards a lot.
Oh, really?
But I was like, how do you even get that to work? Because doesn't the plywood like create a ridge that you run into?
Yeah, see.
Yeah,
Yep.
we always did that, but what we do is find like broken refrigerator metal, and you put that at the end, so it kind of like more of a smoother, flatter.
Like a floor transition.
Exactly,
kind of.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how we do that.
I mean, let's
Okay.
be totally blunt, though. I did not do ramps. Danny was a skater, right?
No, I was
Skate boy.
big skateboarding. I have
Yeah.
a fake toe because of it.
Do ya?
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. Danny and I had surgery at the same time.
Oh, my gosh.
He had literally his toe was too long, and he got like a section of it cut down, so they like grafted the end of his toe to the like shorter part of his toe, right?
Yeah, and then put a spike
Pin
in
through it.
Yeah, that's
and then
crazy.
I had my ACL done the same time, so both of us were in the same bed together, high on morphine or
No,
the
no,
like.
no. I didn't get morphine.
I did.
We would get in an argument, and you'd press your little button and go to sleep.
They really did
that's
send me
true.
home
Jeff's
with
like,
morphine.
we're both on morphine. Be quiet.
You have a drug problem, and then I'd push the button and go to sleep.
Push, push, push.
But I think, yeah, I remember. I forgot you had that surgery.
Yeah, it was fun. And then my sister Rachel would call it the Gimp Olympics and like force us in the freezing cold, mind you, to like walk all the way around the neighborhood, like kind of, you know what I mean?
So Danny would be hobbling, and I'd have this cast that went from my crotch to my ankle, and I'd be like I just got out of the war. We had to walk around a certain amount to keep blood flowing, I guess.
I don't know.
Not become heroin addicts.
Yeah, we're
But,
still alive, so it worked.
Yeah.
Did.
I'm surprised with the amount of things you jumped off and did flips off and all that stuff.
If we want to start there, there are endless stories. Is this podcast like 3 or 4 hours long?
There you
How
go.
long is it?
As long as you need.
I would sum this up with, just so the listener knows, is that Danny and I were brothers from age, I was 8
And I was 5.
8 to like 19 for
Yeah.
me. So like 10, 12 years. Like we were brothers,
Right.
for sure. And like I sent Danny to the hospital, I think 3 or 4 times to the emergency room.
3.
And the only real brothers do that.
3 times.
I really did.
Like, we shared a room growing up, and Jeff and I would get grounded to our room. And so we'd come up with dumb ideas. Like, one time we tied a bucket and a rope around this thing, and like Jeff got in it, and I was pulling him up. And he made it like all the way to the top of the ceiling,
Yeah.
and then the rope broke.
Yeah.
man.
Okay, so here's what we did. Because we would get super bored, iPads were not a thing. The internet wasn't even invented yet. Al Gore didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
So, and we'd get grounded to the room. So we're like, let's make an elevator. So I'm the big guy. He's the little guy. We tied a rope to a bucket and threw it over the shelf that was up by our ceiling. And I pulled Danny up in the bucket, and it worked. He like pulled himself up a little bit. He got all the way up to the top floor of our elevator. This was the coolest thing ever. And so I let him down, and then my fat ass got into it.
Well, physics, I don't even think physics were invented yet when we came up with this idea.
Anyway, Danny hoisted me up to the top, and somewhere along the line, the rope broke, and I just fell down like 7
It didn't
feet.
like pull the drywall out of the ceiling.
No, it was like a big shelf up there, and
Yeah.
the rope just broke.
The rope broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. So your guys' house was like the hangout place. And the reason was your parents like didn't care.
Like,
It might, from my perspective, it was just like, not that
Yeah.
they didn't care about you, but they weren't like, my parents were like, what are you doing? Really like
Oh, yeah.
on top
Sir,
of,
yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. But over there, it was just like, do whatever. Like, you could be lighting fireworks off in your bedroom and nobody
Well,
says anything.
we actually did do that.
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
bottle
that's why he
rockets.
says that.
Yeah.
Anyways, these are the stories that I often wonder if people give a crap about hearing these stories, because to me they're hilarious.
Yeah.
And I share them with people like my kids, and they think they're hilarious and ridiculous. But I wonder, like, the general population, like,
I think it's pretty hilarious to light bottle rockets indoors, period, let alone in a small bedroom.
so
With like a bunk bed against the wall. There's like 8 square feet of space in there to stand.
Well, we were safe. Like, we covered ourselves with a blanket once we lit the fuse.
okay, so I'm here's the funny thing. We're now 30, and so some of these stories actually have endings now. Like, they're not just like this thing we did. So let me tell you the bottle rockets in the bedroom story, because it has an ending now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't even know what it is. I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So we used to do this. We'd bust the stick off of bottle rockets. We'd set it on my bedpost. Sometimes 1, sometimes 3 or 4. And there would be like 5 or 6 of us in the room, right? You guys know because you were there, but I'm telling the listeners. So we'd light them, and we would basically try not to get hit with a very small piece of dynamite is basically what the game was, right? It would flip around and file, and right? It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It is.
So we did that. My parents never knew about it, by the way. And I've talked to him since then. My dad was like, "You guys did that in your room?" I'm like, "Yep."
That's what's so amazing. Your dad would go in his room and like he must have had headphones
He did.
on or something.
He did.
Yeah.
He worked graveyards and day shift, and he'd rotate back and forth all the time. So he's always sleeping at weird times.
Yeah.
So when he was sleeping in his room, it was like lights out, nothing
He
happening.
probably had like NASCAR style head muffs
No,
with
Yeah.
like a
no, they're
face
actually
mask.
like just a little, like he'd have like a pile of used like little earplugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So the end of the story is, my niece moved in with us about a year ago. Okay, and I'm like, okay, I need furniture for her. I need all this stuff. So my dad goes, I have an extra bed here, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I go down there, and guess what? It's my old bunk bed. It wasn't actually a bunk at the time when we did the fireworks thing. It was just one level twin size bed. So I'm like, oh, cool. This is my old bed. I know how to put it together and all this stuff. So I take it apart, take it home. I'm setting it up in my house that I live in right now, and there are scorch marks on the mattress. And I'm like, this is the same mattress that I slept on from all those years ago. And there's literally like little burn marks all over this mattress. It was the exact same one.
Well, it's just seriously amazing because, like, you know, we tell all these stories and the listeners don't know, but like honestly, we need to come up with like a museum of all the stuff that we did when we were kids.
It's just too
like,
bad
we
there's
have-
not more video footage of it.
Well,
Yeah.
video cameras were really expensive back then,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. And they were big and like took a VCR tape.
Yeah, they
Cassette.
did,
What's
yeah.
that thing called?
VHS.
A
VHS.
cassette?
VHS
Yeah.
cassette.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Been a long time.
Yeah,
Now-
that's crazy.
What sort of thing would you see in that museum, Dan?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I know I put you on the
Countless
spot,
things
huh?
like you did, but I don't know. Like, remember like my old like thing that I glued like 6,000 pennies to?
Yeah.
You know, I think I know where that is somewhere. Like,
It's probably at like the DI or something.
no, they wouldn't take it because they don't sell money.
Danny had a table, or was it a table?
No, it was a nightstand. I glued
yeah.
like 5,000 pennies to the top.
All over. Anyway.
I just remember like throwing, was it pizza? Throwing
my
pizza
gosh.
off your back deck, like into
This is
cars
bad.
driving by.
No, that was on our neighbor's roof.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
and it was sherbet.
Oh, and it was whole pizzas, right?
No,
No, it was sherbet. I
no, no. We used to throw tortillas on the back neighbor's house.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Isn't that so hilarious? Because it's like they know where it came from.
Of
They
course,
had, to, they
it comes
had
from
to have known.
it comes from the giant deck next to their house.
But they never said anything.
No, and that's funny is like that house was like vacant all the time. So like I actually skateboarded off that roof.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
was that the time I broke my rib?
No, you survived that one.
Okay.
But Danny got over there when it was vacant one of these times, and he's like, "I'm gonna skate off." I was like, "All right."
I hit a stick like halfway and saw like Superman
Jump.
off the roof, basically.
It was awesome. That was also the yard that we used to poop or scoop and just throw it over the fence.
Oh my gosh. So did no one live
Oh,
there?
that's what caught my fall.
The giant pile of dog poo saved your life.
Karma got you back.
But yeah, on that deck, we used to throw IBC root beer bottles off the deck into the street, and
Oh,
they'd
yeah.
shatter in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And we always thought it was like this miraculous thing that you'd go out there in the morning and they'd be gone. All the broken glass would be gone. We're like, how did that happen? You guys remember this?
Yeah, I do.
the neighbor that lived in that house would go out and sweep it up at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Probably because they heard it and they go outside and like, oh, I'm not driving over that.
Yeah, or
and sweeps it up.
Sir, if you're listening, we just want to apologize for that.
And I want to personally buy you a 6-pack of IBC root beer.
It's so funny because during this time, nobody's drinking alcohol or anything.
No.
Oh, no.
But that kind of behavior, you would think like, oh, I've got the party house next door. That's like throwing bottles off the roof and pizzas and tortillas and all that stuff.
So this neighbor kid, Justin, used to test his motorcycle. He'd fix it up and then he'd drive it down the circle right by the deck there.
Yeah.
And he'd drive back and forth and we would try and throw things at him. And typically it was food because, I don't know, the birds will eat it. It's fine. So we'd throw tortillas at him. But one of the time you were thinking of when you said angel food cake or the sponge cake.
The sherbet, whatever.
Or sherbet. Yeah, it was like, anyway, one time someone grabbed it out of the freezer and chucked it at him and it actually hit him on his motorcycle.
Oh my God.
But he knew that we'd do it and we did it all the time. Oh, there's Justin. Let's go throw crap at him.
And not that he deserved it. It was just funny.
Yeah.
Maybe
I actually really like Justin. He's a good kid.
He is, yeah. I think he's like a teacher now.
Yeah.
So.
Is he really?
Yeah, he really is.
Huh,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember one time somebody, I think it was Chuck, was making like a bomb out of fireworks or something.
That sounds right.
And stuck like a glass candle over the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And like that thing blew up, went off, and then we like ran around the corner up your driveway, like into the house. And as we're running like into the house, we hear this crash from this thing falling down. So it was like, I don't know,
man.
15 seconds in the air, something like that.
Wow.
It was pretty wild.
Thank goodness no one ever died.
Yeah, or got seriously injured.
That's amazing. Like I mean, seriously, if we had 6 hours for this podcast, it wouldn't even scratch the things we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
We're just bringing up the first things that come to mind. I'm
I
sure
know,
if we
like-
started really thinking about it.
Oh, remember when we put like a match head in the empty gas container? And blew it
You
up?
put a match. Damn, he's an
It,
idiot.
like blew the side off it, like went over the power line. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So Danny didn't realize at one point, I don't know how old we were, 12,
Something like that.
13. He didn't realize that the fumes of gas are what's flammable. So he goes and gets a gas can that's empty, right? And he sets it out on the road and he throws a match in there and it explodes. Like it was like
Oh
a
my
big
gosh.
5-gallon gas tank.
That was pretty
It just
big.
like, thump, and like went 20, 30 feet up in the air and we're like, what the hell? Like,
Somebody in the neighborhood, didn't somebody used to make like napalm or something? Like
Oh, yeah.
gasoline and kerosene together? I can't remember.
Let's not put a recipe out
Yeah,
there. Jeez.
let's not put a napalm recipe. But I remember
Packing
like
peanuts and gas.
dipping a ball in it and lighting it on fire and like bouncing it down the street.
Yeah,
No,
I do that a lot.
Chase.
Yeah.
Chase did
We
it.
used to take a tennis ball. It's way less cool than you're making it sound.
Oh.
We just take a tennis ball and we'd pour lighter fluid on it.
It was just lighter
Not
fluid.
napalm.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess you could use lighter fluid as napalm.
Yeah, or the tennis ball melts and eventually becomes napalmish.
I thought it was is that how you make napalm? Let's Google that real quick.
I'll tell you how I made napalm. We might have to edit all this out, but
Gasoline.
it's gasoline and packing peanuts.
Oh, is that it?
Literally, yeah, that's right.
We used to make it and we'd take it on Boy Scout campouts.
Yeah, I'm just Googling gasoline and kerosene equals
No.
20% more power, apparently. So maybe that's wrong. So it's packing peanuts and gasoline.
Yeah. Don't Google that.
You can get all your terrorist needs right here on American Fort.
Yeah, this whole thing got edited out. I guarantee it.
I don't even know why we're
FBI's
talking
gonna-
about
yeah.
it right now.
Why are we even talking? None of this is making it on the show.
Yeah. So a minute ago, you said like you were brothers from like 8 until 19. But
Once removed.
But then you weren't brothers? Is that what you were saying?
Our parents got a divorce.
Yeah.
It's not that technical.
Oh, okay. So then you're no longer step brothers. Is that
Yeah,
how it
what
works?
does that make us? Just
I don't.
homies?
I think. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we could put a label on it, but I really would just say like stepbrothers once removed.
That sounds good.
Keep it legal and.
I just say you guys are brothers. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We still do.
Yeah.
We just joke with you.
But the first time that ever came up, and I don't know if you remember this, we were at the top of American Fork Canyon, up way above Tibble Fork, in Danny's Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
Me, I think Mitch was there.
Oh, man.
Me, Mitch, and Danny were in this Jeep at about, 1 o'clock at night?
Yeah, maybe about... Yeah.
Super, super late at night. But we're literally off-roading. Like, we're on a dirt road, off-roading in American Fork Canyon, full moon, beautiful. And I remember some of it was kind of like, hey, man, we need to get away. Like, life's getting stressful. Let's go up and go for a ride, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, woo! Freaking police officer.
Yeah.
On dirt roads above. Yeah. So I'll give the quick story about it. They pulled us over. They questioned us. And I remember the cop being like, who are you two? And I'm like, oh, this is my brother. He gets all of our license. And he's like, why do you guys have different last names? I'm like, well, he's my stepbrother, but he's not really my because our parents had just divorced recently. And it's like, well, he's not really.
And they're like, get in the car.
Yeah, basically.
Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah. Put your hands in the air. It was really awkward. But I think that's when we first invented the stepbrothers once removed.
Yes.
Was to try and explain to the officer how we were related, but we're not related at all.
And sound intelligent at the same time.
Yeah.
Once removed, very legal.
Turns out, just so you're not in total mystery as to why there's cops up there, apparently there's some raging party that they broke up, and then they just stayed there all night waiting for other people to show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Turn them back or whatever.
And so they thought we were going up there for some rager, and we're like, no, we're literally just getting away.
Yeah.
So,
Huh. Yeah, I can't count the times we were like picked up by police growing up. Like, seemed like every other night
I know.
for something.
Literally.
And I don't feel like we were bad kids, like, other than throwing pizzas and tortillas at other roofs and things. But we weren't like, I don't know, out destroying property in general.
Cow tipping.
Cow tipping. So that
unsuccessfully.
I was gonna bring that up. That's actually my favorite memory of you. Is when we would go cow tipping that one summer. Like, we went a bunch of times, and I just remember you were like so animated and energetic about it, and we'd like go off in the dark and wander around looking for cows, and then run away like we thought we were gonna get
murdered by a
bull or something. Like,
Well, the one time that we actually successfully touched a cow was you, Phil, and you got covered in manure. Man.
Yeah. Probably.
So let me just make sure everyone understood what was just said.
Okay.
When the one time we successfully touched a cow.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go on record that I think I had a girlfriend at this time, and so I did not hang out with you guys as much. And I hated cow tipping. I was like, really, this is a waste of time.
Yeah,
I went a bunch of times. And it was fun, but like legit, there was just no production happening. There was no tipping cows.
A little bit harder than they made it out to be.
And at the end, 20 years later, the story is, remember when we touched that cow? How many hours do you think was wasted on cow tipping, Phil?
Because we'd be out all night long. Like,
looking for pastures.
I'd get home at like 5, 6 in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
Like right before my dad got up for work.
On a school night, too.
Yeah. Exactly.
me and Danny were actually talking about this on the way up here when we stopped at the gas station. It was like, we did something every night, all the time.
Yeah.
We were always doing something, whether it was watching a movie at somebody's house or whatever. It was just, we always were doing something. It's not like nowadays where it's like you stay in and stream Netflix or play Roblox or whatever kids are doing now.
Yeah, I remember just like being at your house all the time. Like I'd go straight there after school.
Yeah.
Unless I got in trouble, I'd go check in or whatever. But then we're straight over to you guys, and I'd eat your food and
We'd eat
sleep on your couch.
the Jerry dinners.
Yeah.
Jerry dinners in the freezer.
Yep. But I got to tell you, I've talked to my dad. My dad just retired a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah. He's getting old, and he's been working for a long time in his life. Like some people were like, "Oh, I've worked for 30 years." I think my dad's been close to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, he's worked a lot in his life, and I think he's enjoyed working, and so he's always kind of done it. But he recently retired, so I've been talking to him a bit more. And one thing we were talking about was, like, what do you remember? Like my dad, like, I'm like, what do you remember from us in high school? Like, what's your story about our ridiculousness kind of thing?
Yeah.
He brings up this one story where he went to Costco or somewhere and got a big box of hamburgers. Like, you know, when you used to get the boxes of hamburgers and there'd be like 60 patties in there or something, because he had a bunch of kids to feed.
Yeah.
But this is the quintessential, like what you just said. You'd come over and eat all our food and everything, right? So I call my dad because it was a brand new box. I'm like, hey, Dad, can we have some of these? Because I got Phil over. I can't remember who everyone was there. We just wanted to have some of these burgers. Is that cool? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So we start up the grill, start cooking burgers. By the time my dad comes home, like an hour or two later, there's like 35 people at our house. My dad says he overhears a conversation with two girls, and one of them's like, whose house is this again? Like, people that don't even know us are like hanging out, because you know how it used to go, like, especially before social media. It was like, I'd invite my friend, and they're like, can I have my friend come over? And then is it cool if this friend comes over? And friends and friends and friends and friends. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, how you meet people in life and how you socialize and get to know other. Anyways, that was my dad saying. He's like, and you ate the whole box of hamburgers. And I just remember the next morning when he came home, I went and talked to him. Like, I thought there was just going to be a few people, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, Dad. I didn't realize it was going to turn into this.
I know, like our house literally was the Facebook of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People came there to socialize and tweet or whatever.
And there's lots of thumbs up and
a lot of emojis.
Yeah, people were sharing pictures.
Mm-hmm. So really, I think that we should like get some money on Facebook for like helping.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg's the #1 listener, so just throw us some dough on the Patreon there, Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Toss it on over.
Flip me a 20. Oh wait, that's not 20 mil is what I meant.
So those were some good times.
Yes.
We were just talking before this that we haven't seen each other in 15 years.
2006.
Yeah.
Phil nailed it.
Yeah, 2006 was the last time we hung out at a party or something. And you were just telling me that like a year after that, you actually wrecked your car and broke your neck
And back. Yeah. I think I broke
Are those connected?
They not anymore. Anyways. No, yeah, absolutely. So like I rolled my car on the freeway like 4 times and took down a light post. And it's funny is my insurance had to pay for that light post, and they did not let me keep it.
Oh,
weird. I know. So there's I don't know.
Like when you can keep the car when it's totaled.
Right, but I can't keep the post that I paid for.
But you had to pay for it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was really expensive.
Where are you going to put a light post that size?
Was it like a big steel?
It was a freeway one.
Yeah, like
one
a
of those
big one.
ones. Yeah,
I'm trying to open the door to a Christmas vacation quote. Where are you going to put a light post that size? She'll say, bend over, I'll show you.
Bend over, I'll show you. I forgot. Yeah.
Never mind.
That's true. Yeah, it was a very large post. I was really upset. That was like the most upsetting thing. I didn't even care that I broke my back. I was more mad that I didn't get to keep that post that I paid like $20,000 for.
Yeah, and what Danny's not telling you is like I remember going and visiting him in like the ICU. Hopefully he's gonna come out okay, and apparently he survived.
Yeah, I was in like a coma.
And I think Jeff told me about all this, but I must have forgot or just didn't actually like realize how serious it was. Like if you break your neck and your back, like you could have died.
Yeah, I was like life flighted from the freeway, like there. So I mean, it was pretty crazy.
The weird part about that, he's life flighted. He's not far from hospitals. Like,
no,
he was right
not.
by. So the fact that they life flighted him was like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was a big deal. But, you know, I'm a fighter. I did stupider things when I was a kid. So, I mean, of course I'm going to survive that, right? I don't know.
I love that attitude.
So was that like the nail in the coffin to like stuntman Danny? Like was
that's where it ended most of the time. That's why I got Fat Phil.
Yeah.
But no, that's where the extent of it really. I really grew up from that and like started like making something of my life, and I actually became like an EMT and stuff.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I worked for that for a long time. Well, not a long time, but like 6 years. But yeah, and then after that, I was like, you know, I'm just not making money, so I changed careers again, and here I am.
And now you're a underwear salesman.
I'm a used underwear salesman.
Yeah, he doesn't deal with the new stuff.
I don't do like why?
That's too trendy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you think about it, you get a lot of people online that want to buy used underwear.
He's not joking.
Yeah, there probably are. Jeff knows.
I know.
I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
But
no.
So when you got in your wreck, were you like out when they were flying you to the hospital, or were you?
Yeah, I was.
You didn't wake up for a few days.
Oh,
really?
For 2 weeks.
So you just woke up in the hospital and like, oh.
Yeah, and I couldn't hear. Like,
I
I
don't-
had so much blood in my ears, I couldn't hear. Like,
man.
so I was like deaf, and I woke up in a hospital. Like, and they're like, "Oh, you've been out for 2 weeks," and you're like,
I don't know if Danny remembers this, but I was there when he woke up. And
Oh,
you
really?
know what you
Yeah.
asked for?
"What?"
I want some milk. Because you hadn't drank anything forever.
Right.
They just put all his fluids in through IVs, and he's like, I'm thirsty. I want some milk.
That's good. It does the body good.
So when you wake up, did you remember that you were in an accident?
No, I had no idea. Like,
You just woke up in the hospital.
What's so crazy is I can only remember 15 minutes before the accident. I can't even remember getting onto the actual freeway that I was on. I remember
really?
before that, but it's like my brain like erased everything of that.
Wow.
So I don't even know what happened.
That is so wild. Like that freaks me out.
It's
Like,
crazy. You can like miss parts of your life. Like, I mean, I don't know. They said it was like a protection or something. You know.
I think your mind does that to cope. Like, anyway, just erase that video.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you edit.
Yeah.
Like
Control Alt. Wait, I don't know. Anyway.
I'll delete.
Man, that is crazy. It's like I only remember in my life like passing out like one time, and it was just like for a few seconds.
From too much blow off.
No, I almost passed out from the blow off. But no, it was actually blowing up balloons in Devin's bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
I think for his sister's birthday or
Were you
something.
just like really out of shape at that point? Or
I
what?
guess so.
How many balloons was it?
I
to
think what it
pass
really
out?
was is I had my knees locked and I was
Oh, yeah.
standing
Yeah.
and like trying to blow these balloons up, and like I just had like a flashing moment where I was like down on my knees, like bouncing on the floor a bunch of times, and then I like woke up and I was on the floor, and everyone was looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What just happened?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"You got down on the floor, Phil. Get up." I was like,
Wow.
What? But that freaked me out. So I can't imagine like
Yeah.
waking up in the hospital suddenly, not
Yeah.
remembering what had happened. Like that's got to be wild.
That was crazy.
This is a silly analogy, but I'm sure most people can relate to it. When you're a little kid, you fall asleep in your mom's bed or whatever, and you wake up in your bed.
Yeah.
And there is that weird disorienting, like, oh, what happened? Where am I? How did I get here? I'm sure there's similar things that happen, and probably same with you. How did I get here? Why am I laying down? What happened? Like, where was it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just can expound that into more crazy stories like Danny's, where it's like, a great time later where he wakes up and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Like, I mean, essentially every night we go to sleep, that kind of happens, right? We
Yeah.
wake up
Right.
and we're like, "Oh, I'm here." Like, but we're so used to that happening again and again, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But especially when you're like dreaming. Have you guys ever had a dream where you're like so into the dream, and then you wake up, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I live
Yeah.
in a house right here, and here I am. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Didn't die in the dream."
I
or
love
whatever.
dreams.
I do too.
If Siskel and Ebert were still alive, they'd give all my dreams 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
What's the craziest dream you've ever had?
I can't. That's a stupid question, Phil. I love every dream. My dream could be sitting down eating pizza, and I think it's so cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's not real, but I feel like it's real. Like, remember that pizza? Yeah. Oh wait, that was totally fake. I made it
Yeah.
up.
That's how I dream too. Like when I dream, it's real. Like
Yeah.
I'm making decisions just like I would in real life,
Yeah.
talking to people just the same.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, that was a dream.
Okay.
But other people have like dreams where they're doing something totally different, you
Yeah.
know, or
Yeah, like you're in a Western and you're in a bar fight or something.
Yeah,
You're
or-
like, that's not real life.
or they kill somebody or whatever, and then wake up and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. Like,
Yeah,
But me, I'll kill people in my dream and wake up
no
and be
way.
like,
Oh, I would've
yeah,
done that.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't.
Good thing you don't like sleepwalk. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
But you know who has crazy dreams? Alec Baldwin. Oh, see that little callback there?
yeah, I think he's actually going to claim that he was asleep. When that
There you
happened. It was a dream.
I slept walked on the set. It's actually going to be like every time I act, I'm actually sleeping.
Yeah, I didn't
might
kill
be.
him. My character did.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Well, okay, I've thought about bringing this up with you guys before because there's this podcast I used to listen to called Mysterious Universe, and they're actually really neat. It's like all kinds of weird stuff from aliens to like lucid dreams and sleepwalking. Anyway, they just talk about all kinds of weird stuff. Mysterious universe, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. So anyways, there's this one guy that came on that would talk about lucid dreams, and like they would talk about how can you induce this? How can you make yourself have lucid dreams? And one of the simplest things that they brought up was drink a bunch of apple juice. And it can't just be like the 98-cent gallon of apple juice you get at Smith's or something.
It's got to be like fresh.
It has to be like real apple juice. Like the best one I've seen is like it comes in like a glass jar. Have you seen these, like a glass gallon?
Martinelli's or
Martinelli's?
Martinelli's.
That might be the brand.
No, you're talking about like the.
But I'm talking actual apple juice.
Yeah.
Not the sparkling seltzer, but Martinelli's makes apple juice.
Oh, okay.
And it's in a glass jug.
With like with a thumb ring, like a hillbilly. Yeah.
So you can loop it around your finger and
I know what
it has 2 X's on the side of it.
I got it.
Anyways, but drink a bunch of apple juice and then go to sleep. So I tried this a couple times, and you know what? It freaking works.
Yeah?
Really?
Yeah. And I would encourage you guys to try it as well.
Do you have to drink the entire
gallon? No.
Okay.
It's like when I did it, I drank like a tall glass. What I'd consider a tall glass.
Okay, because you said a bunch of apple juice, and then you're talking about a jug.
Sorry, to me, like if I had like, I'm going to put some ounceage on it. If I had like a 12 ounces or 14 ounces of apple juice, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what I did. Like 12 ounces, just drink it and then go to sleep. And it's just weird. It's not like lucid dream, I think, has a specific definition. But what I will say is my dreams were more vivid.
Yeah.
And it didn't work every time. I think I've done it like 3 times or 4 times. And probably like 2 of those times it was like, oh yeah, I can tell. So I don't know what actually creates it, but you guys should try it.
I'll have to try it.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever wet the bed as an adult?
When I was drinking, yeah.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've also done other duties. Have you ever puked?
While you were sleeping?
Have you ever puked in the toilet and thrown up at the same, or like pooped and thrown up at the same time?
I have needed to, but like was able to manage seconds apart.
Oh, I was not.
Oh.
I think when I had swine flu, that happened.
Oh, really? You got swine flu?
Yeah, like
H1N1?
I think it was like 2007 or
Damn, bro.
8.
Wow.
You're getting viruses before they were cool.
Dude, I know. It was a big deal.
That's crazy.
Huh.
Well, you've had a good ride. You're now a father, a stepfather of some children. Got a lovely wife here with us today. Looks good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually proud of Dan.
Yeah, you went from like a skateboarding maniac to like
Throwing IBC root beer bottles off the roof.
yeah
Like,
to just a real adult, like making a difference in the world.
yeah, and like I know, like I feel like I came. I'm really happy with like how my life turned out. You know, like because it could have went anywhere. Like, but it's just crazy. Like all the experiences that I had growing up kind of shaped me into the person I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have so much confidence and so much like life experience, in all honesty, like to be able to make it happen. So I'm like, I owe a lot of it to you guys for like raising me. You know what I mean? Really
Raising you. I love that.
Well, I mean, in a way, you know, like we're always hanging out, always doing something.
Yeah.
And like still look back and, you know, I'm going on really old. And, you know, I don't know.
I'm going on math.
But like seriously, and I still think back to those days, you know what I mean? And I think we all do. So
Yeah.
I mean, it really shaped me into who I am today. So
Yeah.
It
is cool. I think that we had really good opportunities, and we were able to be crazy and not get in too much trouble. And we were able to be who we are. And, you know, I learned a long time ago, actually, when my mom passed away, I moved in with Danny and his mom and my dad. They were already married at that time. But I realized at that point that I had family that wasn't so much family, and I had friends that were like really good family, like you, Phil, and people. I realized I was like, my brothers and sisters and my dads and my moms and whoever I'm talking about, I get to decide who they are.
Yeah.
I think that's true for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone has a brother that they actually hate their guts. Guess what?
Right.
You don't have, just because they're your brother, you need to respect them and love them. I think that's important, but they don't have to be your brother, like your homie or whatever you want to say. You can have a friend that is just more of a brother than your actual brother. And I'm not bringing brothers up for any reason other than it's a good example. It could be a parent, it could be a aunt, it could be a grandma, it could be anything.
Yeah.
You decide who your family is, and that's our friends we were like a family.
Yeah.
And at one point we called ourselves
I think
a family.
I was going to say our club name was the PH family
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Like, Phil, you were a brother to me growing up, and a lot of my other friends were brothers too, because that's what I decided.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think what you said was really profound. Like, you really do choose your family in life. Like, I mean, you have your family too, but it's like, there's no real arbitrary, like, thing telling you can't do that. Like, I mean, by tradition, I'm related to these people by blood, but like you said, maybe you don't like them, or maybe you like someone else more. Maybe you get along with someone else more. So,
or maybe
sense.
maybe your family is so tight and awesome that you bring on other family, and you have a lot of more siblings and brothers and sisters. I have a friend that lived in Pleasant Grove, and I can't remember if you guys knew them or not. Remember Jocelyn?
Yeah, Jocelyn.
Dude, you go to her house, and it was like our house 2.0.
Yeah.
Like, you'd go to her house, everyone there was family, but nobody there was related. Like, but it was literally this family that lived there, and everyone took care of each other and helped each other, and it's just, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What the world needs now
That was such a
is love.
cute way to end, Jeff.
love.
Thanks for that.
Oh,
Beautiful thing. Well, Danny, we've been glad to have you here.
Glad too, bud.
It's been good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. It's been a good time. This has been the American Forked podcast. You can catch us on Patreon, where you can donate money apparently every month, like just with a click. And that money helps us, buy some drinks and convince our wives that it's worth something.
That something happens over here.
So check us out. You can also catch us on Facebook, Twitter,
Instantly
gramming, and you can check out our website, AmericanForked.com. And that's it. Have a good night.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And good night. Is that
made sense.
Is that what that guy says?
That's what he says.
What's that movie?
That's exactly what he says.
It's a movie.
Yep.
I 100% agree.
Is it Bruce
I'm
Almighty?
not arguing with you.
Is it Bruce Almighty?
I agree. Yep.
Or he's a newscaster and he's like, good afternoon, good morning, and good night.
Yep.
And then like a meteor falls behind him that he made come down.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Are we ending this, or are you just going to keep talking?
I'm just going to keep talking.
Okay.
See you later.
Good night.
You better run before they come over to get you. It's so bright, 'cause it's a firecracker inside of your bed.